Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to dive into my top baits for the month of October, and it's going to be a doozy today. We got lots of stuff up for you here. We're going to dive in. We'll see you underwater. In the fall, bait fish are the number one thing that you want to focus on. And when I'm talking about bait fish, I'm talking about fish are schooling up and pounding bait fish in different areas of the lake. Depending on what lake you're on, it's going to be different areas. But we're going to focus on primarily northern natural lakes because that's the majority of the stuff that we fish here at Bass Insights. So let's dive into our top baits from the month of October. The first bait that I'm going to start out with is the square bill crankbait. Now, all my bait color selections this year and this time of year are going to revolve around kind of that sexy shad, chrome, white bait fish color profile because bait fish are what's on the menu. Here's a KVD 1.5 square bill, and I am going to grind this anywhere where I can find shell beds, rock cover. I really like this bait for smallmouth this time of year because they push up onto those shoals. They actively corral bait fish up there. This is a fantastic way to get bit. You see it's kind of got that chartreuse color scheme in it a little bit. It's a great bait to get bit, and in the fall, you've got to cover water. If you cover water until you get bit, you're going to have a lot more success. If you hunker down and fish an area, you're going to have a slow time. So you got to move, you got to cover water. This is when the crankbait is going to shine. A shallow running crankbait is the first bait I'm going to pick up. Second bait I'm going to pick up because it does roughly the same thing is the chatterbait. Now, I prefer the chatterbait when they are feeding on bluegill. On Lake Tippecanoe that I fish a lot, those bass right now are keyed in on bluegill around docks. Nothing does a better job ripping out of weeds right now than the chatterbait. I like it in green pumpkin, and that's the only exception to the rule I just told you about. I like this with a Rattleworm 4.5 trailer on the back. I fish it straight braid this time of year so that I can really rip it out of cover and deliver those fish in the boat through that cover. If the water is murky and the fish are up in the shallows in cover, chatterbait can bring them out of there. Once again, I'm always gonna go with, if there's money on the line, the Evergreen Jackhammer. 3/8 ounce this time of year is the magic thing. I like it in green pumpkin or Bee Height Delight, a proven fish catcher right there. Up at number 3, we're gonna have a different category of baits here. And these are gonna be swim baits. Right, if the water is super clear and the bait fish they're chasing is shallow, I'm going to go with the 3.5 Mayer or the 2.5 Mayer from Crush City. It's a positive buoyancy bait. You can run it on a Matt Allen swim bait head from Dirty Jigs. You can run it on an Owner Flashy Swimmer. Depending on what cover you're fishing, I'm either going to run it in the Flashy Swimmer, in that cover. If it's open water, I'm going to run it on the Matt Allen head. Proven fish catcher right there. If I'm trying to get a bigger bites, I'll go from the smaller one to the bigger one. But that is the bait I'm going to start out with right now. In that swim bait category, the fall is a great time to bring out the big baits, right? 2 big baits that I'm looking at here is the Megabass Mag Draft right here, and this is the 6-inch Mag Draft. If I'm around a ton of bait, I want my bait to stand out. Plus, if I'm looking for big fish feeding up for winter, it's a great time to tie on a 6 or 8-inch swim bait and churn it through those areas. Fish are going to bite that bait, and when you catch one on the big swim bait in the fall, it's going to be the right one, right? You're looking for drawing power and meal tickets. So the 6-inch Mag Draft, when I'm around fish that are schooled up. If I'm around fish that are stuck on cover and won't come off of there for anything, I'm going to start throwing this S-Waver 168, and I'm going to throw the S-Waver for a reason, right? There's a lot of glide baits that are on the market that are good open water glide baits. The S-Waver is fantastic around cover. It is a cover glide. Plus, I'm not going to feel bad if I bank this off a dock post and break it open because it's like 16 bucks. If I smash a $300 glide bait off of a dock post and smash it, it's going to be devastating, right? But what I'm doing is I'm fishing this in and around cover to pull fish off of that cover. If those fish are under that dock and they won't come out, throw this under there, they will follow it out. More often than not, they will hit it too. Also, if you're around pods of bait fish and your normal swim bait can't get noticed, throw that glide bait. They will absolutely demolish that bait, and do yourself a favor. Pick up the glide, pick up the big swim bait. A lot of guys are worried about throwing those big baits this time of year. The big bait this time of year can help your lure stand out and get bit when nothing else will. Give it a shot, I'm telling you. So that's my swim bait category. So thus far, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lures to talk about. Now, if I've got a cover situation, a lot of times in the fall you get cheese mats that have blown in, you get particle mats of junk, basically crap mats is what I call them. I'm gonna punch those crap mats with one of my favorite ways to do it. And this right here is a VMC Tokyo rig with a Berkley Crazy Legs Chicker Craw on it in green pumpkin. And I run the lightest weight I can get away with on that dropper and a glass bead. I want that to make a lot of noise as it comes through that trash mat. And fish, literally a pattern this time of year is find wind and find trash mats. They will hide under those mats. And what you can do, this goes through everything, but it keeps it off of the bottom muck and junk, and it stands up like that on the bottom. So it's like a mini drop shot you can throw and cover. The Tokyo rig this time of year kills, right? It's one of those things that I've not told a lot of people that I do, but this time of year, this is a great bait to throw. I throw it the Chicker Craw exclusively this time of year on that, you know, 1/4 ounce tungsten weight to that glass bead right there on the Tokyo rig. Great bait to punch those trash mats with. Next up, more open water situation. So if I find schooling fish somewhere, I'm going to throw a rattle trap style bait at them, a lipless crankbait. This bait is one you can chuck 100 miles. They're gonna be heavy, 1/2 ounce, 3/4 ounce, 1/4 ounce, whatever. Find one that's around the size of the bait fish they're eating. This time of year, I like baits that have some transparent quality in there. This is the Spro Aruka Shad 05. And I love this transparent color pattern. If I'm going to Lake Maxinkuckee, this is what I'm putting on. Clear water, long cast, schooling fish. This is a great bait. Now, you got to use a parabolic rod when you're doing this or else fish will throw it. I like to throw this on 15-pound fluorocarbon on a parabolic rod. You can cast this 100 miles, get to those fish that are schooling, burn it through there, 7 to gear ratio, reel, and just burn that puppy through there. You're gonna catch fish, right? That's when you need to get to them. If they won't bite that, then they will bite the Zoom Super Fluke. This time of year, the Zoom Super Fluke is king. You can rig it 2 ways, right? You can nose hook it with a #1 VMC hook right there on the front, or you can run it Texas rig style with a 4/0 extra wide gap worm hook. This is a great cover water bait. It's a great bait to throw up around covers, pencil reeds, dying vegetation, things like that. The Fluke is one of my constant producers this time of year. When fish are still shallow up around the stuff, you can't throw the jerkbait yet, you can throw the Fluke. So there is a gamut of baits right there. But now we're gonna get into kind of this color scheme of different stuff that I throw. So I've got a bunch of lipless crankbaits right here, and I'm gonna kind of walk you through the color and the water temperature and where I throw that, because a lot of guys in this time of year are like, throw a lipless. What do you mean by throw a lipless? #1, I'm gonna start with that transparent lipless as much as I can, but as I get deeper into the fall, my color selection is going to change, right? As the water gets a little bit cooler, or if fish are on bluegill, I'm going to throw a bluegill colored trap. So here's a rattle trap right here, and it's that real life bluegill color. I love this when the water's a little bit stained and those fish are up around bluegill. It's one of my favorite things to throw this time of year. It just does a really good job of getting bit and having a great profile in the water. These baits are locked up. Next up, we have the Berkley War Pig, and this is a perch colored bait. And I got onto the perch pattern a long time ago. If there are perch in your lake, they're going to be around the last living green weeds, and there's a definite pattern on different lakes with perch in it where those green weed patterns, a perch colored rattle trap will get you bit. The walleye bite on Maxinkuckee on this bait right here is crazy. I have one of these baits right here that the paint is all gone off of because I caught so many walleye on green weeds ripping this out of there, right? But when that water goes from your 70s into your 60s into the 50s, when that water hits the 50s, I'm gonna go to one color and one color only, and that color is red. So there's a 1/4 ounce trap in red and there's a 1/2 ounce trap in red. 1/2 ounce for deeper, 1/4 ounce for shallower. When the water's in the 50s, red is magical. In the spring, it's magical, and in the fall, it's magical. You gotta try red when it gets down there, or when the water is super stained and those fish are tight to the bottom. Hopping these on the bottom will get you bit. Water in the 50s, pick up a red crankbait, pick up a red trap. You're not gonna be disappointed. Fish transition areas hard with these baits. You're going to get bit. So, fall is all about covering water. There's only one contact bait in here, and it's literally the Tokyo rig. The rest of these baits up here that I talked to you guys about are all about covering water. In the fall, you have to cover water until you get bit, then you pick that area apart for about 15 minutes, and then you keep moving. I'm going to literally put the trolling motor down and fish all around the lake until I find where they're at, and then I'm gonna hit those points that are just like that. Fall is back to literally chucking and winding, getting out there, covering water, covering fish. If you guys like what's going on the channel right now, give us a like, subscribe, go to those links in our bio, use those links to go to Omnia, get yourself discounts. It helps us out, it helps you out. We want to make this channel as best we can for our audience. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We'll see you next time.